Welcome to Seymour from the Front Pew podcast, coming to you from the broadcast studio at Seymour First Baptist Church in Seymour, Tennessee, and featuring thoughts and discussions around loving God, loving others, making disciples, and living the life. I am your host, Tiger Brooks, and now, on to the podcast. Well, here we are, kicking off Season 2, Episode 1 of Seymour from the Front Pew podcast. And as always, we hope you...
Hey, listen!
I still got it.
Good time.
Oh, man, it's hard to believe that we've been off for several weeks, not recording these, busy through the holiday season. And we thank you for joining us once again. Once again here in the studio. Thank you for your listening to all the podcasts. If you are just now tuning in and you didn't even know we had this and you're tuning into Season 2, know that there are, 19 episodes, Shelby? Is that what we have? We missed getting to 20.
19.
We have 19 episodes of Season 1 in which we discuss a lot of different things. There's basically profiles on all of us. There are a lot of different episodes that deal with ministry, vision, things about Seymour First Baptist Church and some of our ecclesiological approaches to church life and such. And you are welcome to go back and catch up on some of those things. We would urge you to do that. But this episode, we are in the new year of 2024. And without saying the R word, we're going to try to talk about our dreams, aspirations, plans, hopes for the new year from a personal perspective for each of us, and then ministerially speaking, in our different areas of ministry, what we hope to achieve. And it's kind of a wink, wink, nod, nod, kind of a hint to everyone who may be a member of Seymour First Baptist Church as to things that they can expect in the new year, possibly, and things to be praying about. Just know that we're always trying to figure out, find where God's at work and meet Him there and follow in behind Him as He leads us. And so, with that said, who would like to launch out into...
I think one of my personal goals, I'll have this beard for another probably 2 months. And I need at least one person to go, you know what? Your beard looks better than Tiger's.
You'll be waiting.
I know. But it's good for a man to have goals. You know?
I can appreciate that. I'm not even offended by that. I would, if you were to grow a beard over the next 2 months that rivaled mine, I would totally.
It would not be in length or anything, but in a stylistic approach.
Yeah, you have to work on your two-tone.
It's the tandem baldness compared with the beard. I don't know.
You've definitely got your own niche when it comes to that. Anyway, that's a good goal. All right, so any of you yahoos want to go, or I've got a list of my own over here.
I'll do a kind of personal one. It's not a R word that we are trying to avoid, but just a kind of maybe a health decision. If you're around the office, like I'll go search out and try to find some type of soda, Coke. I just call them Cokes, but Dr. Pepper is the favorite one of choice, and so I'm trying to only do one a week, one Dr. Pepper, one meal a week. How about that? So, because like yesterday we went to Tennessee Pizza, and so it's not like one glass; it's like one sitting or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
a serving, whatever you're having to drink for that particular meal.
But that's a significant amount of calories to not be intaking.
I did kind of get a kick out of though. You said I'm doing a health thing with.
As he's eating
M&Ms and Snickers, Twix sitting
what
in
I
front
eat,
of you.
I do have M&Ms,
Twix, Snickers, and M&Ms.
I'm blaming Jason for that when he had them open in his office. So, Anyway,
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Well, don't be. This is diet Dr Pepper.
Yeah, see, I don't do the whole diet
It's a
thing.
diet
so
Dr Pepper.
either.
So
I don't care if it is 0 calories. So, yeah, I'll just do without. But yeah, so that's kind of a like, I guess the closest thing I get to one of those or whatever else, and then just to be more disciplined in certain areas. And I think that
Yep.
again, we've talked about that, the four of us before, how just trying to make better decisions on some of those things, like even working out. I would love to get back to running this year. I'm not making it one of those because, yeah, I'm just not that committed yet. So anyway, but I would like to be back to doing some of that, and so we'll see what happens. But that's kind of a personal thing. I've got a couple ministry things. One of those is kicking in just a week or two. We'll start a new sermon series that I'm excited for us to get into, is the Book of Acts. And reality is, I don't know how long it's going to go. It's very likely that it could take us all the way to the holidays of next year. And so I don't know how many weeks it will be, but I am excited about that, and excited to see kind of what comes of that as we really kind of look at the early church, and maybe even, I hate to say compare ourselves to them, but at least maybe try to look through the lens of the early church at what we are doing now, and are things appropriate? Are they right? Are we similar? What things are different? Is that okay? Is it not? Those types of things as we think about that. And so I am excited about that series that's coming up.
Move.
Yep.
That's the name of it. And talking about there's probably multiple movements in Acts that we can look at, but we're talking about three particular movements. And so that'll be fun to anticipate coming into the new year. And, I think a lot of folks respond to going through a book and just allowing the Word to lead the way. Yes, we create themes around particular passages and things like that, but it is definitely an exegesis of the Word rather than heading in. I mean, and with that, you address topics that come along with that.
Right.
It's kind of, and for our money, getting the cart before the horse is not what you want to do. You want to get things in the right order.
Well, and for me, and I've talked about this before, I don't know if I have on the podcast, for me, the hardest thing is deciding what I'm doing next. And so it takes all that off the table. I know we're going through Acts, and so that settles me for, honestly, for most of the year. And so we'll see, again, we'll see what all comes out of it. I can't tell you everything that we're going to cover. I can't tell you what parts we're going to skip. We probably will skip some of it. There's some repetitiveness in the end of the book that will probably bounce around in, because different, especially of those missionary movements, and that it's kind of repeated in this place and then repeated in this place, and so we'll probably just cover one of those or whatever else. But anyway, I'm excited about it and excited about what's going on church-wise. Excited to think that my hope is that over the next 6 months we have some type of idea behind what is next for our property. I don't necessarily just mean a building. I think, and we have in some small groups talked about that, but that one of the barriers that we're facing right now is parking. In the middle of December, we had a Sunday where we had one parking spot remaining, and that was with 30 people not parked in parking spots and 10 people parked across the street. And so we see that as a barrier to what God's got in store for us in the future. And so hopefully over the next few months, maybe even within the next few weeks, we'll have some type of idea of what is ahead for us on that, how we approach that, and the steps to be able to start making some improvements there. So,
and I think that's it's a good time to interject. Hopefully this is not a deterrent for anybody that may be listening to this who's been thinking about coming and visiting, but it is just a way for us to communicate. We know that there are issues. There is a pretty healthy wait post service to get out of the parking lot. And many times that is enhanced by the volume of traffic coming out of Pigeon Forge and Sevierville and Gatlinburg that come this way up Chapman Highway. And that kind of slows things down. But in and of itself, we have one way in, one way out, and we know, and we're working feverishly to try to answer that. And so we know people.
Yeah.
You can wink. We can talk about that, but we know.
Yeah, and again, we do know we are working on some solutions, and I think we'll have some. And in the meantime, just it would encourage some patience and some grace. Would encourage you, if it is bothersome for you once you get in the car, plan to stay in fellowship a little bit longer, and then that way it clears out a little bit more. So yeah.
He's trying to get his Celsius over here in front of my Power T.
Right.
That's one of my goals for the year. It's just to continue to rag on some Tennessee.
For those of you,
We are
playing along at home,
officially in basketball season, and I can do that because we already beat you.
Yeah, you did.
But
You did.
I'm staying pretty quiet.
I'll be careful because I know there's a very good chance we could see each other again,
Yes,
and
absolutely.
it could go very differently. I get it.
Absolutely. And so,
I'm done. By the way, that's all of mine. I'm over, so y'all can.
we take it from here.
So,
Does that mean he's not talking anymore?
You can add in.
He already muted himself.
He's out. He's out.
So he can smack on his M&Ms.
That's right.
All right, Austin, are you prepared?
No, not at all.
You came in on one wheel,
I did.
and
Yeah, I
we'll
don't
come
know.
back to
I'm
you if
not-
you want.
No, I'm not. I'm not much of one for
Right.
like a new. I generally don't do that. I do try and reassess, and like I've been trying to
Yeah.
eat better.
Whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, but I don't. I've tried to structure my life to be as disciplined in the. Most people think about health things, and I generally try to be fairly disciplined about that outside of eating desserts at potlucks and whatnot. But as the music ministry and I don't know. I guess I'd address missions first. I like to see our missions. There's joy in growing what's already there, not necessarily new. Now, we have a new partnership in Cincinnati, and I'm real excited about that. I'm excited to see about what happens with our trips to Guatemala and as they expand their building and stuff, but just growing upon relationships that have already been established. I'm excited to see where that goes in the missions picture. And I think just in ministry in general, there are things you hope for in a year, if you're looking at the scope of a year, that are just kind of inherent. And not to take that for granted, I hope we see incredible baptism numbers. I hope we see growth, but not just for growth's sake. I hope we see true life change and so on and so forth. But it is spiritual, but it sounds unspiritual. Last night we had the opportunity to have somebody kind of step in who had not been with us, who actually knows what they're listening to when it comes to music, and hadn't really heard us. He steps in and helps us tweak some stuff in our sound system about once a year, and just afterwards, just his response was just, "Holy cow, y'all have gotten a lot better in a year." And it's not, yes, there's a numbers thing to that and there's a power thing to that, but it's just, he said, the thing that there's clearly talent in the musicians we have, but there's a confidence that comes with playing together and learning how to play together. And I don't know, that has been sitting with me all day and just thinking, and I called Beth Smith, our accompanist, last night, and just wanted to brag to her because I think a lot of what we do is starts with her, and she's created a good foundation for us to be able to grow around, and I appreciate her for that, and wanted to express that to her. But I want to just see us grow musically, and that'd be myself too. And it sounds really vain, but I have realized just as a musician, it's easy to stop growing as a musician at some point. All through high school and college, you're constantly pushing to get better and better and better and better. And then I don't know, I feel like at some point I let off the gas on that, on becoming a better musician. And that's hard if you're not a musician, that's kind of maybe hard to understand, but it takes practice, and it's easy to give up on practice. It's easy to give up on, and And there's also a very real element as I'm 37 that there's certain things that my brain isn't calculating anymore sometimes, and I don't hear certain things, and I don't that as a musician I'm going, why didn't I catch that? Why is that not bothering me the way it used to bother me when I hear this note out of tune or I sing that note out of tune? And anyway, so just as I've thought about this year, I just want to make sure that at the end of 2024 I'm a better musician than I am right now.
Yeah.
Anyway, I feel like that's probably is that hard to understand if you're a non-musician?
No,
Okay.
I think it applies to, I mean, every facet of our lives, we want to be better at
That's
whatever it is that we're passionate
true.
about than we are today. And so I totally get that. You know, it's just that, you know, in musicianship, maybe more so than a lot of different things, does take a lot of, you know, just practice and rote learning and all those kinds of things. So, yeah, that makes total sense.
So, and just I love surrounding myself with people who are good at what they do. And so like to see how that flourishes and also develop not just it's not enough just to be better musically. You also want to be spiritually honing each other.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I don't know. I feel like I'm meandering with that answer, but I'm proud, I guess, in this state. I'm proud of what we've accomplished in the last few years, and it makes me excited for where we could be in another few more
You're
years.
proud but not satisfied.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is good.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. All right, Jace, the Tar Heel.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I'm a lot like Austin. I don't do the resolution thing. I mean, I think, you know, always.
You said the word. Oh!
Yeah, said it. R word.
Hold
But
on.
I'm always. Wrong one. He's got to find it now.
You're like a kid playing in church.
I like that one. That was
Go. That's good.
Anyway, sorry.
But yeah, I mean, for me, it is just continuing to assess and you know, I mean, always want to, hopefully, not just in personal walk, but walk with the Lord. You're always continuing to grow. I mean, we were talking actually last night. We started Merge last night for the first night, and whenever one of the things we talked about with the students was just saying, you know, we're kind of kicking into this probably a 5-week study, if you will, of Know and Be Known, which is also our Strength to Stand theme for the conference weekend. And we talked about how, you know, it doesn't matter how many times, how long you've been in church. I bragged on them and said, I've got one up on everybody. I've been dedicated in 2 churches, not just one. I was dedicated in Germany and then back when we came home to the States. But I kind of joked about that. It doesn't matter how long you've been in church. There's still more to know about God. You're never going to reach a point that you know all that is about God. And so
I'm done.
Yeah, so that's a kind of a continuation, and I think the same not just in our spiritual lives, but just in our lives in general. Of we all can get better, we all can improve, and we all need to assess. And the new year is kind of one of those times that just feels like a natural reset to that. And so, I mean, of course, there's some things that, you know, I have that I want to reset, and health and family and being a better dad and better husband. Those are things obviously that are there. You know, I think ministry wise, we were kind of talking about it. You know, for me, it's going to be an interesting year for me. You know, Sean has landed. He is in the building and he is beginning to go and do stuff with the students as our new student minister. And so it's going to be a growing year for me, a learning year for me, and how that looks with him, how that looks with me, and how that looks with our overall family ministries. And one of the things that I'm super excited about, that I think it's going to begin to free up and allow me and us as a ministry as a whole begin to focus on is our reach to parents, and what that looks like for parents. And you know, we slow rolled a couple things out last year, and for some people they've caught traction, and I want to begin to push them harder to get more traction, to really start to allow our families to be the primary disciplers in the lives of their kids. And I'm not saying that they're not. I think we've got families. I kind of evaluate a lot of our families, and I think a lot of our families are doing that well already. But I want to be a resource to help them do it better down the road, and for us to continue to grow. And I started reading a book, and I literally just started, so I can't even remember the name of it. But it's kind of looking at kids ministry and kind of evaluating. we've always heard in ministry, we talk about how whenever students get out of student ministry, there's that gap where they start to leave the church. And I've always heard that brought back to student ministry or the music ministry of the church, right, or the discipleship of the church. Rarely do you hear that go back to the kids ministry. And this book is actually taking it back and saying, hey, we're going to evaluate all of these things as a part of this exodus, if you will. We can't not look at kids ministry too. And so it's going back there and saying, how can we evaluate and grow kids ministry that affects the lack of exodus, if you will, whenever they get, I mean, you're talking still 15 years down the road, but still, it's all a part of it. I think it's all a factor. And so I'm excited to kind of continue to evaluate and to think through that aspect of, for us, and what that needs to continue to look like. And just, I think, again, for me, the biggest thing is looking ahead, again, with Sean here, just digging into relationships in a way that whenever you're overwhelmed and too busy, you don't feel like you can as much. And now I think with him here and him being able to take a lot on in that side of things, I think it works for both of us that we have that ability to have those relationships. And so looking forward to that. And so those are some of the things that kind of are high on my thought process, my list of things, and just excited to continue to see. I mean, I think if we all really think about what this coming year looks like, there's some things we know that there are some things kind of ahead of us, but that we're really like, I don't know what that's going to look like.
Yeah,
we know there's things ahead, but we just don't know what they're going to look like yet. And there's some excitement. There's maybe some angst a little bit with that too, but I think it's the beauty of being able to just sit back and say, all right, God, we've watched you work from this point forward. We're excited to watch you work some more.
Yeah, and it's scary and exciting all in the same all at the same time. It's when you're kind of like Peter and you're standing on the side of the boat and you're like, I've never walked on water before. I'm watching him do it. And I'm trusting
telling
him
me to.
He's wanting me to do this. I feel like we're being drawn out of here, but I'm not sure what this is going to be like.
Don't look down.
And so we know how that went.
Yep.
And so it is exciting. I have a list. You want to?
But
are you through with your M&Ms yet?
Look,
no, I'm not. But
you want to throw in two left
for Tigers? You're going. Okay.
Yeah, sorry. Give me a second.
He said he was.
I thought he muted himself.
Well, I did. But it where we are, we talk about pivotal point with what's ahead of us. It reminds me of where we were three and a half years ago.
Yeah.
So, and again, a lot of people some were here, a lot of people were not, but I can remember, I think Jason and I had very vivid conversations about, okay, so we're going to approach these things and we're going to do our best to be faithful in them. But in a year and a half, we could be 150 and be having to think about closing doors or not be able to pay bills, or we could be at, I think then we were talking about 350, 400, and God blew that out of the water. We blew way past that. And I feel like that's a little bit about where we are right now, is because we are bumping these barriers. There's some risk in front of us of that if we aren't faithful, if we aren't diligent, if we aren't very intentional and purposeful, that there could be a regression, and that is not. I do not believe that that's what God's got in store for us, but we are running that risk, and we have to be really, really careful with that. And when I say we, I'm not just talking about the four guys here around this table. I'm talking about us as a church. Yeah. That we've got to be very diligent. We've got to understand what is in front of us, what is at stake, and our role in that. Each of us individually, our role in what is going forward for us this year. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Very well stated. You were going to say something?
I was just gonna say, New Year, Tiger got a new office.
Oh, yeah.
So that's an exciting. If you come like last night, my son came running in the door, and immediately he was headed straight for that pool table,
That's right.
and he ran in. He
like,
came, he came back in my office just wide-eyed. And he went, "I thought I was walking into the youth room. Pastor Tiger was sitting there."
Yeah. It's funny. I told him he can come in, he can barreling into my office anytime he wants to. With Sean coming on, Sean took my old office, and I've got a brand new office. Literally, we carved some space out of a larger room, and I'm excited. I've already kind of filled it up.
Can I just say,
Yeah.
with him in that office now,
Yeah.
it has really shown how much stuff you have.
Hey, I got
I
big
was like,
stuff.
wow.
He's
this
also
is
got a
actually
whole
pretty
foot
good
on
office.
Sean. So
That is true, yes.
I got big stuff, and I've been at it for a while, and I've accumulated.
20 plus years.
Yep, that's
Sean, I've been at it longer than Sean's, almost as long as Sean's been alive. So
Yeah, almost.
anyway, so no, I am excited about that. It feels fresh, and I'm closer to you guys, which is both good and bad. And no, it's great. We don't have to yell as loud to each other now, and I've even got places to sit in my office for people that come and visit. So that's good. So no, I've got a couple of personal things. I want to. I started again this year. I've done this before, but I'm doing the daily audio Bible, and again, there's a bajillion things out there you can do for your quiet time in terms of your Bible reading and prayer and stuff. And but if you've never heard of the Daily Audio Bible, there's a podcast, there's an app that you can download for whatever device that you have, and every day there is a new episode. And you start out in Genesis, and you read. You start in Genesis and you can go through the Bible, but you also have Psalm and Proverbs every day, and a New Testament reading. And so you kind of 4 basic things that you do each and every day, and it's very well done. And I would encourage you in that and do that. But I'm wanting to do that. You read through the Bible in a year, and I'm excited about that. Obviously, I always have health and wellness goals, and I want to try to do better in. It seems like for a year and a half that we've been here, it has been really busy, and I've just been kind of, inundated with different things that I want to accomplish, both at my new house and my new office and my new church and my new job and all these kinds of things. And over the course of time, I've addressed many of those things. And so I'm out of excuses to help myself. And so I'm going to make some changes with my diet. I'm taking on a new approach that shall remain nameless at this point because they're not paying me to say anything yet about it. And so they may. Well, I may get to that point. May not. But anyway, I'm doing some things. I'm taking some supplements and some other things that we may talk about in the future. But I'm excited about that because I am already kind of feeling better as a result of those things. And then beyond that, personally, I've realized with this year, I'm almost within a decade of retirement age. And if you think about that,
Hey, stop talking about
we don't
that,
talk about
man.
you think about that. So with that, and this is not morbid or anything, but I have to think about financial stability, going forward, what I would like to, before it's too late and I'm, pushed out the door because of my age at some point. I want to set myself up to where I can take care of myself and my family. And so financial decisions and getting things in order in that respect too. So anyway, aside from all that, ministerially speaking, I've thought I've addressed a lot of things, and we've started some new ministries and things. We've started a podcast and other things that I've had a hand in. But Sunday school has remained. We've started a few more classes, but we haven't really addressed a lot of Sunday school processes and bells and whistles and things. And so we have some fantastic teachers. Let me just say out of the gate, there's not any, terrible things I've got to fix in Sunday school. They're just things that we need to hone up and shore up and maybe tweak a little bit. And one of those things is just to be more visitor and new member aware. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times it's very easy in your Sunday school class
Yep.
to be about just us and our little gang, and we all have been here together for a long, long time, and we have this relationship, and that's a little intimidating for new people to come in, and we have lots of new people coming in. And so I plan on having some training and coaching opportunities with my Sunday school teachers to help them just to kind of change their perspective a little bit and be more aware. And little things. I'm praying through what it would look like for every one of our Sunday school classes, and this is one of those lift up the curtain and see behind the veil. What would it be like for every one of our Sunday school classes to wear name tags? Little things like that for people that come in who don't know anybody in the room. I'm sure you've got people in there, been there for 20 years, and are like, why do I have to wear this name tag? I know everybody in here. Well, that's probably part of the problem, is that you know everybody in here. We want to create a situation where there's people that you don't know that are coming in here, and we want to level the playing field for them. So little things like that, I want to address. D groups are another thing that is on my plate, and we have a really great D group environment here. Lots of people are involved. But with that, and the generations of those that have come and have run their cycle and have multiplied out and all those kinds of things, it's hard to manage. And so my lovely and talented assistant, who's behind the camera here now, is going to have to help me try to administrate all of these things, and kind of, you know how the old adage about ripping a feather pillow and trying to get all of them back. It's what we feel like we're going to have to do, is trying to get a hold of all of those. Who's in a D group? Where are you in your cycle? I try to maintain those things, but people you can download a D group packet from our website and start your D group without ever telling me. Yeah. Even though everything in there says, please tell Pastor Tiger that you're doing this. But it's both blessing and bane. So I want to get a handle on that. And just yesterday, as we were recording this, we were excited about a merge class that we just started, which is called Tell Someone, and it's an evangelistic approach, and it's an evangelistic emphasis. And I'm really excited about us making more of an effort to help train ourselves and be discipled in how to share your faith. So that more and more people feel comfortable with telling people about Jesus, because our community is growing. I mean, I drive here down Boyd's Creek Highway every single day. There's developments going up on both sides of the road, and there's developments going on all over around the church. There's new roadways that are being constructed to get people to our front door and all those kinds of things. There's more people coming. And there's more people who are coming who are lost and need to know Jesus Christ. And so we, over the next year or so, want to raise our awareness of what we need to do to be able to comfortably share our faith more effectively. And I think that we've all testified on this very podcast how that doesn't necessarily come as natural to us as it may come to other evangelists and other pastors and things like that. And so, but all of us are better now than we were 20 years ago, probably, in order to do that. And so we want to just raise our awareness and raise the stakes in terms of sharing our faith this year as well. So those are really the things that came to my mind as I thought about the topic of the day, and hearing our discussion about it has kind of excited me about what the 2024 may hold. And so I'm excited about that. Other thoughts as we close this one out?
I'm good.
All right. Well, we want to thank you for tuning in to episode 1 of season 2 of Seymour from the Front Pew. As always, we would encourage you to, if you found something of value in what you heard today, then like and share and subscribe and all those kinds of things. We would appreciate you doing that. Of course, as I said at the outset, you can catch up on some of the episodes that you missed by visiting your favorite podcast deliverer, whatever that may be. Or you can find us on YouTube. If you're watching us, this is available on YouTube on our Seymour First Baptist Church media page, and you can watch all those episodes as well. With that, we thank you for listening. This has been another episode of Seymour from the Front Pew. And with that, we'll say bye. So say bye, fellas.
Bye, fellas.
Hi, fellas. Oh, look.
Thank you for listening to Seymour from the Front Pew. Our sole desire for this podcast is to glorify God by educating and encouraging His body. If you would like to learn more about anything you've heard today, feel free to reach out by email at staff@seymourfbc.org or by visiting our website at seymourfbc.org. If you're located near our community and do not have a church home, come worship with us at 10:15 a.m. on Sunday morning. Until then, we pray God's richest blessings on you and yours as you love God, love others, make disciples, and live the life.